Ever heard of a custom-made bed flown in from Sweden? No, me neither. Not until Kim.com, that is.
Oh.
Yeah, picture this. New Zealand mansion, like multiple pools, garage full of supercars.
Yeah.
Early 2000s tech millionaire, but like on another level.
Sounds lavish.
Totally. But the thing about .com, it isn't just the money, it's the story. Like, what makes someone rename themselves .com and then actually live like that?
Well, it does make you wonder. His story, it's like something out of Hollywood. Starts as this teenage hacker, Germany, gets in trouble, obviously, but then uses those skills, his hacking skills, to become like a cybersecurity consultant.
So it's like, you caught me hacking payphones, now hire me to stop other people from doing it.
Yeah, basically. Early 90s, this is Kim Schmitz still, before the name change. He was playing around with these office phone networks, PDX systems, figured out how to, well, basically reroute calls and then charge companies for it.
Clever, but
not exactly legal, no.
Not at all. Okay, so already pushing boundaries. But then he gets hired by Data Protect. They were one of the first white hat cybersecurity places, right?
Exactly. The good guys.
Finding the holes so they could get patched up.
Right. He got paid to show companies how vulnerable they were. By hacking them, of course.
Still hacking. I mean, talk about turning a weakness into a strength, I guess.
He had a real knack for it, anticipating vulnerabilities, which, when you're using it ethically, it's incredibly valuable.
For sure. Although, even with that legitimate success, you can tell he still sort of craved the spotlight.
How so?
Like, come on. The name change, .com.
Yes.
Pictures of his lifestyle everywhere. He wanted to be the .com era larger than life.
He definitely understood branding, that's for sure.
Well,
he claimed it was about inspiration, like a Bill Gates or Steve Jobs figure. But hard to ignore, all that flashiness, it attracted a certain kind of attention, too.
And things get even wilder from there. I mean, his time as a .com investor, there's that whole thing in Thailand. Luxury hotel suite, some shady investments. Almost like he was heading for trouble,
His time in Thailand, yeah, that was a turning point. Looking for a fresh start after some setbacks. And he found it in New Zealand with Mega Blode.
Okay, so we're finally getting to Mega Blode, but that's a story for part 2. So fresh start, New Zealand, Mega Blode.
It's kind of funny, right? Like, thinking back to how hard it was to share files back then. Oh, totally. I mean, pre-Dropbox, pre-cloud storage. It was a different world.
You try to email, like, a movie file or something and
yeah.
Forget it. So Megaupload, it was a big deal because it just made that easy.
It was revolutionary for its time. Suddenly you could upload and share these massive files, no problem.
Super user-friendly.
Exactly.
But of course, easy file sharing. It's like opening Pandora's box, right? Piracy was huge back then.
The Wild West of the internet, for sure.
So how did they deal with that whole copyright thing? That seems like a minefield.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Megaupload, their stance was always that they were just a platform.
A hosting platform.
Right. Like, they're not responsible for what users upload any more than a library is responsible for every book on the shelves.
And they did take down stuff where they were told to, right? Didn't the Wired article say they'd honored something like 30 million takedown requests?
They did. They complied with the DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, take down the infringing content when notified.
Okay, so they were following the rules. So what was the issue?
Well, the U.S. government, and in particular the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association of America, they argued that Megaupload's whole business model, it actually encouraged people to infringe on copyright.
How so?
Well, think about it. Faster download speeds for paying users. What does that incentivize?
I see. So it's not just piracy itself. It's about the platform, like almost encouraging it.
Exactly. And that's where it gets legally interesting, because it all hinges on this idea of secondary copyright infringement.
Secondary copyright infringement.
Yeah. Like, can a platform be held liable for what its users are doing, even if the platform itself isn't directly doing the infringing?
And this was all brand new legal territory.
Oh, yeah. First time this was being tested in criminal court. Hence the whole, dramatic raid on dotcom's mansion.
Helicopters, the whole 9 yards.
You had to make an example out of him, right?
Right. I mean, remember that panic room they found him in?
Oh, yeah.
Like something out of a movie?
They were worried he'd try to destroy evidence, maybe even like remotely wipe Megaupload servers.
High stakes.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just in New Zealand either. This was a coordinated thing. They hit Megaupload servers all over the world, same time.
Wow. Okay, so they were serious. So that image, right? Dotcom's mansion, the raid, talk about a show of force. But then New Zealand gets involved, and it's not like the U.S. had it easy.
Oh, not at all. New Zealand, they were not happy about how the U.S. handled this whole thing. Felt like a real breach of trust.
Like they'd gone too far.
Well, there were definitely questions about the legality of it all, but then it comes out that New Zealand's own intelligence agency, they'd been spying on dotcom.
Wait, what? New Zealand was spying for the U.S.?
Yep. Huge scandal, allegations of illegal spying, questions about the evidence against dotcom. It became a diplomatic nightmare.
Wow. So all this drama, what was the final verdict? Did they ever drag dotcom back to the U.S.?
That's the kicker. He's still in New Zealand to this day, fighting extradition every step of the way. Years of legal battles, millions of dollars spent by the U.S. government, and he's never actually stood trial there.
Not kidding. And Megaplode itself,
Yeah.
gone.
Oh, yeah, completely dismantled. Domains seized, servers shut down, assets frozen. The U.S. government made sure of that.
Message sent, I guess.
Absolutely. A warning to the entire tech world.
It's almost like Shakespearean, this whole thing. You've got dotcom, right? Teenager doing the hacking thing, then he's legit cybersecurity, then he's Kim dotcom, living the high life, pushing the limits of what the internet could do. And then, boom. Makes you wonder, was he a visionary who flew too close to the sun? Or was it all calculated?
It's hard to say for sure what was going on in his head, but you have to remember what it was like back then. The early 2000s, the internet was still so new. Copyright law, online content, it was all so blurry. He might have been reckless, but it forced everyone to confront some big questions we're still asking today.
Especially now with AI, right? Like anyone can create, share, remix. Where's the line? When is a platform not just a platform anymore, but actually responsible for what's on it? This whole deep dive, and it makes you think about where we're headed with online stuff. You know, what really got to you about all this?
I think what stands out to me is how much dotcom's case exposed the limits of our legal systems trying to keep up with the internet. Whether you think he's some kind of hero or a total villain, it forced a rethink. How do we balance the rights of creators, artists, whoever with freedom online? Those are tough questions, and with tech moving so fast, they're only getting tougher.
It's like dotcom threw a wrench in the gears, and we're all still feeling the shakeup. Who knows what's next, right? AI, whatever else is coming down the line. Maybe even new dotcoms waiting for their moment. Kind of a mind-blowing thought.
Definitely makes you wonder what the future holds.
It does. Well, on that note, we'll leave you all to ponder the wild world of Kim dotcom. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.